and night, day and night.
Well, Holmes, here we are at the Royal Botanic Gardens. There's no doubt that this place is beautiful. But are you really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes, of course.
Don't touch anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer, and without turning it over this time. Good day to you, gentlemen. How may I help you? If you are here for a visit, please do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A remarkable collection, I believe.
So you're the one in charge, eh?
A small favour for a friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens, and that fellow yonder is Albert. He works here.
I am delighted to meet you. What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last exhibition. We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and nobody saw anything.
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
Yes, the one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met, and Miss White.
Here it is. This is the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
Thank you. Is there something the matter?
Yes, there is. All right, the plants were valuable and rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here only 2 days ago has been entirely forgotten already.
What tragedy are you referring to?
The director of Kew Gardens, Mr. Montague Dunn, he died here just 2 days ago.
We're very sorry. We were not aware. The two of you were good friends?
He was my father.
Oh dear. Our condolences. We should not be troubling you. Please do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here, in the large glass house?
Holmes?
Yes, just here, near the door to the colonial collection. He suffered a heart attack, just like that, so suddenly. It was terrible. Excuse me, gentlemen, but I cannot remain here. If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the front of the large greenhouse.
Of course, we understand.
What should we do next, Holmes?
Here is a list of the stolen plants.
Do not touch.
The plants were here. All of them were stolen. According to Albert, this is where his father, Montague Dunn, was found dead. The traces are thinner in some places. These boot marks are fresh. It appears as though someone was dragging their feet. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here. Soil. It should have come from a flower pot. The soil on the side of this flower shelf is the same as that on the ground. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. The door was smashed at shoulder height. This door handle is new. It was recently changed. The esconsson was breached near the handle. The door was forced from the inside of the Colonial Collection Room. The handle was changed afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection Room.
Very strange. The smell is strong. It is a detergent. This broken fragment was the result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely chipped from a statue or sculpture. This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. These windows were perfectly cleaned. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly cleaned. This pot was broken fairly recently. A flower pot recently fell down from these shelves and was misplaced. Blood. This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it. Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash, most likely a head wound. All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all. This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection Room.
He was in a panic.
Emirhan aleykümselam. Hoş geldin.
Was it an accident? Or a murder then, I wonder?
Montaigne'un üzerine bir otopsi gerçekleşir. Ölüm şüpheli. Neden koleksiyon odasının kapısını zorladı? Neden bir odayı temizledi ve boşalttı? Bir tuzak mıydı yoksa basit bir kaza mı?
These trees, with their roots in water, must originate from Louisiana.
Ah, yes.
These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire.
British Empire. Abi SSD alacağım 120 GB GTA 5 için nasıl iş önerirsin? 120 GB yetmez GTA'ya. Windows'la kuracaksın içine. Para biriktir 240 al direkt daha iyi olur senin için.
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. According to
Aynen gelmiş. Gördüm.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Yok almayacağım ya.
do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only, for I'm also studying botany at the University of London.
You're following in your father's footsteps, then that is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
La la la la la la la la la. Ölmüş üstün başım be abi. Yüzük yok, bekar. Benim bu FIVM'i açtığım zaman bilgisayar çok yavaşlıyor. Neden? Bilmem.
Albert told us about the
Her
tragic
şeyden
death
olabilir.
of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Watson çekil lan ayak altından.
Nursery. Seed house. Ventilation. Dry tropics. Water lily greenhouse. Palm house. Colonial collection. Director's office, cloakroom, and laboratory. Reserve.
Ne var ki başka?
Director's office. Direct.
Dur.
Res- A map of Kew Gardens. Locked. Locked.
Aç ya. Kilitli de yani açabilirsin ya. Sherlock yapma böyle.
Locked.
Lock. Nursery.
Locked.
Lan bu her yer kilitli. Watson kurban olayım la. Bir git la. Neymiş ilgimi çeken obje ya?
Locked.
Seed house.
Locked.
Hayda her yer kilitli baba, bu ne?
There is a smell of burning. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. A door handle? Why would anyone throw such a thing in the fire? The door handle to the colonial collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material.
Bak sen şu işe.
The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned. A protective mask. Someone set it alight, but it did not burn.
Evet.
The remains of a picture frame. A broom handle was half... Dry tropics. These flower pots are beautiful. They are intended to be used for exhibition. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. Dry tropics. Water lily. According to this, according a ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings. A ventilation. A water tank.
Arşivlerde ara. Arayalım bakalım. La la la la. Bitki bilim.
That is not. That is. That.
Bu bitkilerin ortak yanı belli bir düzeyde zehir içermeleri. Tam olarak ne kadar içerdikleri ise belli değil. Diona Carvirus sadece ilk üçü insanlar için zararlı, özellikle Florem diabolica. Ancak sadece özel bir durumda tepki veriyor. Bitki sadece birinin ona saldırdığını hissederse ölümcül polenler yayıyor.
Here it is.
Öğretiz.
That is.
Doğaya saygı için Divine Scholastic Syndicate. Bu kurumun üyelerinin tanrısı Trevan'dır. Üyeler manevi huzur elde etmek ve kendilerini fiziki dünyadan soyutlamak için çaba gösterirler. Sonuç olarak her türlü bağış kabul edilir.
Here it is.
Vay vay vay.
The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here.
Köy bahçesindeki sembolü barındıran çiçek saksıları oraya ait değillerdi. Seymour bahçesi, bahçe ekipman ve edevatları. Bahçeniz için gereken her şey bizde bulunur. Her türlü kum, toprak, kereste, gübre, saksı ve ihtiyacınız olabilecek her şey temin edilir. 3 Blurton yolu, Londra.
Here it is.
Evet.
I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
Aynen, gidelim bir otopsisini çıkartalım bakalım. Atsın kardeş. Eşyası var mıymış?
This watch is of great value. A beautiful... A membership card for the London Crest Club.
Mektup. Kime yollamış? Wayne ve oğulları baskı şirketi müdürü Bay F. Wayne'e göndermiş. Dostum, K bahçelerindeki büyük sergi için hazırladığım posterler çok güzeller fakat bütün personelden bahsetmek kesinlikle gereksiz. Sadece benim adım yeterli olacaktır. Demiş. Peki.
Locked.
Tabii ki lock.
First of all, let us carry out an external examination.
Bir dış inceleme yapalım. Bir suratından başlayalım önce şöyle. Kafaya bir darbe
There is
almış.
an injury to the skull, most probably caused by the fall in the water lily greenhouse.
Aynen, bak ağzının kenarları falan.
The vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite
Gözler
normal.
normal.
The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma.
Hmm.
There are no suspicious marks upon the chest. Let us finish our external examination so that we can proceed with the autopsy. No redness, stings or bruises.
Anne, elde herhangi bir şey yok. Sol elinde.
Nothing suspicious.
Burada bir şey yok.
Now, let us examine the internal organs.
What? İç organlı. Oh. Watson, aç içini. Ne güzel açtın lan. Akciğer.
The lungs are congested and edematous.
Tıkanık ve ödemli. Aha.
The lungs are congested.
Lan bir dur.
The tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged, most probably caused by toxins from an unknown plant.
Doğru. Kalbine bakalım.
The heart's blood vessels show no pathological. The heart tissue shows no.
Peki. Karaciğer.
The liver is enlarged. It would seem that he was suffering from an alcohol addiction.
Alkol bağımlılığı.
The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible
Tamam. Mide.
The stomach tissues show no visible pathological signs. There is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly, only a short while before his death.
Bağırsaklara da baksaydık ya
His
belki.
suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from poisoning, plant poisoning to be more exact.
You mean
Yes, it is murder.
we should inform Lestrade?
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No, we also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim, Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them all here for interrogation?
No, a few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building. I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little.
Nasıl bir gülüş ya. Hırsızlık ve cinayet, katiller keyif bahçelerinden gerçekleşen son sergideki egzotik bitkileri, özellikle ölümcül türdekileri çalanlarla aynı kişiler olabilirler. Olabilir. Bir tane daha vardı bizim. Onun nereye gitti lan? Neyse.
Locked.
Şimdi başlayalım şu abiden. Açla kapıları. Of, bu ne?
Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week. He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that, if you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
You mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say. He was a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That
And
he had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
what is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
He's useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was.
Oh, yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here, Mr. Dunn had Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And why, he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Anahtarlar alabilir miyiz abicim ya?
Can
Şu
you tell
içerideki
us
odalara
who
bakalım
holds
biraz.
the keys to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can only imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before. And now all of a sudden he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Gidelim şu anahtarları alalım bakalım oğlundan. Gel.
Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
Peki.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah, at the moment I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes, I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. He forced me to work here. But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens, and I can do it. I can be as good as any other who works here.
Would you please tell us about Martin Hamish, the deputy director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the deputy director of Kew Gardens. My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed? That is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be part...
Bir saniye abi. Çok fazla durup giriyor yayına ya.
passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honour of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with your father?
Oh, he hated my father. It was obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. But my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone. Dismissively, with indifference.
Tell me, have you ever heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Dün zehirlendi. Montague dün katil tarafından koloni koleksiyonun odasına kilitlendikten sonra şiddetli bir bitkisel zehirden etkilendi. Evet. Gidelim şu diğer yerlere bakalım. Büro.
French wine. Champagne. Montague Dunn had... Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens.
Yeni bitki türleri, köy bahçeleri ekibi yeni başarılı bir arpa çeşidini duyurmaktan gurur duyar. Soğuğa tamamen dayanıklı bir tür. Onu Siberya arpası olarak isimlendirirdiler. Aşının görkemli yetiştiricisi Bay Martin Hamish bu konu hakkında önümüzdeki pazartesi günü basın konferansı düzenleyecek. Çok sevgili Margaret, son konuşmamızda istinaden köy bahçelerindeki pozisyondan istifa etmenin daha iyi olacağını inanıyorum. Bana açıkça gösterdiğin gibi artık benim de desteğim artık daha fazla ihtiyacın yok. Söylediğin gibi bu dünyada kendi ayaklarının üstünde durabilirsin. Sana özgürlüğünü geri veriyorum. İyi şanslar diliyorum. Montague Dün. Bu kimmiş ya? B var diyorsun. Allah'ım ya.
A photograph of Montague Dunn and Reynold Hamish.
Masayı bir açalım. Değerli arkadaşım, lütfen sana mektubunu okuduktan sonra yaşadığım hayal kırıklığını anlatmama izin ver. Sana beni savunman için para ödüyorum. Beni suçlaman için değil. Kiev bahçeleri bir kraliyet kurumudur. Dünya çapında gezerek en sıra dışı değerde ve çeşitteki bitkileri almak için fırsatımız var. Görevimiz bu çeşit bitkilerin şüpheli amaçlara kullanılmasına karşı korumak. Bahsetmiş olduğumuz kutsal sendika böylesine değerli bitkileri tutmak için hiçbir hakka sahip değildi. 14 Haziran 1889 davasını hatırla. Bu yüzden senden Kiev bahçeleri adına bu bitkilerin izlerini tasdiklemeni bir kez daha kibarca rica ediyorum. Belgeler sana pazartesi günü gönderildi. Not: her zamanki gibi salı günü Bağdalı'da görüşmek üzere. Baydun, sizden son defa sevgili kız kardeşlerimizi geri vermeniz için istekte bulunmalıyız. Onları hapsetmeye hiçbir hakkınız yok. Size ait değiller. Bahsetmiş olduğunuz izinler tamamen sahte. Yalanların arkasına saklanıyorsunuz. Üzerinde durmadığımız basında 14 Haziran 1889 davası olarak yayınlanan yalan gibi. Yaptığınız her neyse oldukça iğrenç. Aile üyelerimizi asla terk etmeyeceğimize emin olun. Size güvendik ve bunun için pişmanız. Sal sendika. Çok mektup var ya.
I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document.
Bayan Margaret White'ın Bay Montague Düne borcu. Oxford Caddesi'nde bir suite odasının kirası. Londra Üniversitesi'nde bir eğitim bursu. Hamilton'da açılan krediler. Radigan House adlı dükkandan dikimler ve Baird and Sons adlı firmadan lüks mücevherler. Allah Allah, ona mı yürüyor lan? Arşivlerde arayacağız. Bayan White ve Bay Dün yakın zamanda bir fikir ayrılığı yaşamışlar. Montague Dün, Bayan White'ı key bahçelerinden çıkarmayı planlıyormuş. Peki. Her şey tamam mı? Bir de şöyle bakalım. Hızlıca. Okay. Next.
Locked.
Laboratuvar masası. Islak şişe izi.
There was a bottle here. It left behind a trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory. Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. Several drops of the substance.
Gold dust? Good heavens. What's it doing here?
The gold is almost immune to chemical attacks, so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
Vay be.
But why would anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint scent. We need a good nose.
Ah, gene köpeğe çağıracağız. Tamam. Cambridge Üniversitesi botanik
A
alanı.
botany book. This student's
Albert'ın.
book belongs to Albert.
Buna ait. Peki.
Chemicals, a sufficient quantity.
A phonograph used for voice recording. Remarkable.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that plants do respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
Study report. This is a table for experiments. It resembles my own.
Only this one is kept in good order, Holmes.
It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here. Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection.
Do they grow dangerous plants here?
Such masks are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals.
Evet. Adamın öldürülürken kullanılan şey gibi aynı.
Locked.
Aç. Anahtarın yok mu ya? Cık. Of. Abi Sherlock var ya.
Open. Miss White's locker. Apparently,
Bir
Miss
toplama.
White is a capable student.
Güzel.
A draft of the letter that Miss
Sevgili anneciğim ve babacığım, size bu mektubu gönülsüz bir şekilde yazdığımızı istemek için yazıyorum. Çalışmamın ev giderlerimin masrafı umurumdan çok daha fazla tutuyor. Bu nedenle korkarım ki uzun süre dayanamayacağım. Geçmişte anlaşmazlıklar yaşadığımızı biliyorum. Fakat kızınızın parasız yüzünden çalışmalarında başarısız olmasına izin verecek kadar acımasız mısınız? Margaret.
These jewels must be worth a small fortune.
Vallahi öyle.
A vanity purse. It is of high
Anladık Sherlock. Margaret, bu mektubunu aldığımıza şaşırdık. Bizi düşünmeden ayrıldığın ve geçen bunca seneden sonra bizden nasıl para isteyebileceğini düşünebildin. Bizimle üniversitedeki başarının hiçbir detayını asla paylaşmadın. Fakat şimdi paylaşmayı mı seçtin? Yeni arkadaşların kadar yüksek kesimden olmadığımız için bizden utandığını düşünüyoruz. Evet, biz mütevazi insanlarız. Fakat bizim daima yaptığımız gibi aileni ilk sıraya koymayı öğrenmelisin. Ve hiçbirimiz onların şanına yanaşamayız. Patronun Bay Dün ile olduğun gibi, hayır Margaret, sen bize utanç getiren kişisin. Anne ve baban. Nice. Sevgili Margaret, finansal sorunlarının şu aralar ne kadar arttığını biliyorum. Böyle bir çıkmazda kalmana göz yumayacağım konusunda sana güvence vermeme izin ver. Zengin bir ailede doğdum. Eğer ki yardımımı kabul edersen bunu bir onur olarak düşüneceğim. Sadık hizmetçin Albert. Vay vay vay vay vay. Margaret White'ın çalışmaları ve sosyal durumu tamamen Montague'nin servetine bağımlıydı. Vay sen şu işe. Bak sen şu işe bak. Marty Hamish'in dolabı.
Hamish's locker. A review on
Nadir
rare
beceri
and
bir problem.
exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Martin Hamish studied chemistry.
Kimya çalışmış. Niye kimya çalışır bir insan ya? Zehirleri araştırmak için mi yoksa? Bay Genel Sekreter, Kev bahçelerinde son olaylar beni yönetim pozisyonu için yaptığım başvuruyu tekrarlamak zorunda bıraktı. Önceki mektuplarında da üzerinde durduğum gibi orası için daha uygun olabilecek kimsenin olmadığını inanıyorum. Bay Montague dün hayattayken politik sebeplerle önerme verdiğiniz cevabı anlıyorum ve bu yüzden memnuniyetimle boyun eğdim. Fakat şimdi Kev bahçelerinde düzensizlik var. Buna nasıl izin verebilirim? Onlara nasıl motivasyonu bile olmayan tecrübesiz ellere bırakabilirim. Size kararınızı acil olarak değiştirmeniz için ısrar etmeliyim. Böylece kendimi bu soylu görev için adayıp kafamı belirsizlikten kurtarabilirim. Kimmiş? Bu kim?
Father and I.
Babam ve
Kew
ben.
Gardens.
Bunu bir alalım. Şunu bir alalım biz. Şu kimin dolabı? Albert. Seni çakal.
Specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea. A rejection letter from
Kraliyet Donanması Assubay Okulu, Askerlik Merkezi Londra. Efendim, giriş sınavlarındaki mükemmel sonuçlarınıza rağmen sizi Kraliyet Donanması Okulu'na kabul edemeyeceğimizi üzülerek bildiririm. Babanız Bay Montague dün sizi K'deki Kraliyet Botanik Bahçelerinin müdürlüğü için görevlendirdiğini anlattı. Ve sizi bütün bir yıl donanma eğitimi için serbest bırakmayacağı oldukça açık. Lütfen K bahçelerindeki geleceğiniz için en iyi dileklerimizi kabul edin. En içten dileklerimizle Kraliyet Donanma Eğitim Merkezi Müdürü G.M. Limekent.
young Albert standing with a woman in front of London University.
Evet. Bu da böyle bir anımızdı. Hemen geliyorum ben, 2 dakika mola. Çay alayım. Yeppe. Kapat kapıyı, kapat.
Nursery. A glasses case. It is empty.
It is empty.
A thesis, written by Martin Hamish. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. We can see the interior of the... This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition. These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery. A master's degree diploma. It belongs to Martin Hamish. An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year.
Aha, büst. Kırılan. Mist dönün.
It is a bust
Mantık
of
dönün.
Montague Dunn.
Üstünü kırmış hıyar.
I am curious if the marble that we... Here it is. The marble fragment that we found in the Colonial Collection Room is what they have in common.
Peki.
The seeds of plant species are stored here. Locked.
Aç aç.
Look, Holmes, this charming lady must be Miss White. She's entering the seed house.
Tamam, gitsin ya. Ya burası açılıyordu değil mi?
Seed house. Open.
Open sesam.
These leather gloves are new and of good quality. They do not appear to have been used. A book about ships. Nothing at all to do with plants. Materials for college study. They belong to Albert. This place serves as Albert's office. From here, we are unable to see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room.
Evet hanımefendi.
Good day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir, and good day to you too. But
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson. This is my good friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I am honored to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White. Excuse me, but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
Güzel kızmış. İnşallah. Ellerde pembeler lık lık lık lık lık vitamin eksikliği. Aha. Parfüm. Ve bekar.
Yes, a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh, yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
Would you happen to know why part of the Colonial Collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student at the London University. I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honor.
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to this room?
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great leader. I saw him almost as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature?
Oh, yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial collection was cleared. So, someone is lying. It is obvious.
Tabii ki de öbür gözlüklü manyak herif. Açık değil mi bariz?
A ventilate.
Lan manyak.
Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work, for Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father, so it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
There is a bust of Montague Dunn in the nursery.
A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that outrageous ego of his.
But why in that room in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
It is strange, because I recovered a fragment of the bust inside the Colonial Collection room.
Really? Oh, well, so I am mistaken. It ought to have been removed during the cleanup. This room is so small.
Do you know who moved it?
I have no idea. Surely Mr. Dunn requested it. Do you have any more questions like this? Because fragments of rock are not my responsibility.
Evidently. Thank you, Mr. Hamish.
Evidently. Hamish'in sebebi. Martin Hamish'in bir sebebi vardı. Onun ve babasının yaşadığı hayat Dön tarafından çalışmaların itibarını çalınarak mahvedilmişti. Hamish, Key bahçelerinin yönetimini ele geçirmek istiyordu. Fakat Dön hala hayattayken bunun mümkün olmadığını biliyordu.
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. It has never been about anything else.
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Ah, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact, my father was strongly against the idea. He did his best to ruin my plans, although I almost did succeed. But my dreams were shattered, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, young man.
Albert'ın sebebi. Albert babası Montague Dün'ü öldürmek için bir sebebi vardı. Dün Albert'ın kraliyet donanmasına katılma hayalini engellemişti. Babasını öldürerek Albert intikamını almış olacak ve Key bahçelerinin müdürü olarak babasının yerine geçmeyi başaracaktı. Gidelim şu köpeğimizi getirelim bakalım.
Come on, Toby. We have some work for you to do. Let us go to Kew Gardens.
Lan kime bakıyorsun Watson?
Someone should take Toby for a walk. Have you found
Karşıdaki
something
karıya bakıyor
interesting?
ya. Kadına bakıyor. Terbiyesiz Watson. Milletin namus karlarını orada incelemeye. Syndicate Kulübü skandal. Divine Syndicate Kulübü Tanrı Kral Trayvon'un takipçileri tarafından 48 Grosvenor Sokağı Carrington yolunda kurulmuştur. Bitkilerin ve özellikle ağaçların koruyucuları olan insanlar şimdi soruşturmayla yüz yüze. Bu kuruluşun liderleri finansal bir suç işlemiş. Bu soruşturma sonucunda hukuki işlemler uygulanmak zorunda kalınabilir. Aynı zamanda birçok insan bu soruşturmaya karşı çıkıyor. Hatta hedefi doğayı korumak olan bu özel kuruluşun birçok insanı etkilediği görülüyor. Rakip partinin siyasi temsilcisi de dahil.
Here it is.
Here it is.
And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
Şimdi bir yer daha açıldı. Ama önce şuraya gidip köpeğe koklatmak gerekiyor şeyi. Bahçeyi.
Let us take Toby to the laboratory. He will pick up the scent of this mysterious substance. Search, Toby. Search.
Lan Toby. Vuruş ya. Şapşik. Biraz daha hızlı koşsa. Tobicik. Helal lan Toby.
Congratulations, Toby. Now let us see what you have found. This is the bottle that was used in the laboratory. It was buried here. There is still some liquid remaining in the bottle, with gold flakes, a tiny caterpillar. Not surprising to see one in a garden, but at the bottom of a bottle.
Helal lan Toby.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire.
Hı.
Just be...
Çekil ya atsın.
This is
Tüh burada yapamıyor muyuz ya deneyi?
Let us determine. Let us pour liquid from the bottle into a test tube to perform an analysis. This is the bottle that we found hidden at Kew Gardens. Let us use a pipette to take a sample. A colorless, water-based liquid. Quite a strong floral aroma.
Holmes? What are you doing?
It has a bitter taste.
What if it's poisonous?
Did you ever see poison stored in enormous jars like that? Anyway, there is a doctor nearby.
So, what do you think it is?
It is some kind of organic compound. Let us vaporize the liquid and see what happens.
Bakalım.
Small colorless crystals. Colorless, tiny crystals that are soluble in water, with a floral smell and a bitter taste. Watson, could you pass me that small bottle, please?
Of course. Here you are. Holmes, do you know what it is?
Wagner's reagent. There was a label on the bottle that you passed to me.
No, Holmes, I meant the bottle that we found.
Let me add the reagent and see if there is any sediment, and then I shall tell you. I need to take a pipette and make several drops of... I need to take a... Red sediment, just as I suspected. This liquid is of organic origin. It contains some alkaloid. Most likely it is unstable, and that is why there is a quantity of gold dust to prevent contamination. This mixture is probably a fertilizer. Someone was carrying out unusual experiments in the garden's laboratory.
Evet. Kutsal Sendika'ya gidelim bakalım.
This place is beautiful, Holmes. Its atmosphere is remarkably soothing.
Let us find someone who could help us. The Kew Gardens symbol. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. A fragment of a flower pot. Good day to you, sir. My name is
I am exalting the sap. A while can you wait? From the trace of elements and moreover from the quality of the ambient geotropism it depends. Therefore, please, mind my gravitropism. Its balance. Do not disturb.
Disturbed is most definitely the word.
There. Completed is the symbiosis. Welcomed you are. To introduce myself I shall. I am the Green Grand Mystic.
The Green Grand Mystic himself.
This is me. Who am I speaking to?
We are two gentlemen who are extremely interested in the vegetation philosophy that is advocated by this establishment.
Listening to you, I am.
We should like to take a look around, to immerse ourselves in the wisdom that emanates from here.
It is a school of anastomosis, the divine scholastic syndicate for vegetation veneration and meditation. You may say, the divine syndicate, glory to the eukaryotic. Only true devotees, those whose hearts are ready to spermatophize in sharing of knowledge, are permitted to physically enter our vegetable kingdom and its wisdom. And to be permitted, you must earn it. Yes.
Do you have friends at Kew Gardens?
None. Not worthy there.
Do you?
None. Not worthy there.
Ay benim ya.
None. Not worthy there.
Aa.
None. Not worthy there.
What?
None. Not worthy there.
Hepsini seçtik de hangisi ya?
None. Not worthy there. None. Not worthy there.
Nevertheless, we have seen Kew Gardens flower pots in your yard. How could they happen to be there?
What? Our sacred place you permitted yourself to search. Sacrilege.
Oh, really now. There was a theft of plants at Kew Gardens a matter of days ago, and we believe the pots we found here may be connected with it. Please tell us, were you involved?
No. Those plants were ours. They had stolen them from us.
How so?
Their director, Dump, I believe.
Done.
Yes, that's what I said. He borrowed from us 3 of our sisters for the exhibition at his green fly-infested gardens. But he never gave them back to us. Excuses and imbecility. So we went in and saved them.
I see. So, if you stole those rare plants from them, then it means... I get it. Bravo, Holmes. I think the case is solved.
No, we did not steal. We saved. Well, as a matter of fact, we were unable to find our 3 plants.
I beg your pardon. And yet you took all of the exotic plants from the stand.
They had disappeared. It was the least we could do. They stole our sisters, and so we stole theirs.
Green Grand Mystic, we are ready to become devotees and gain access to your temple.
What is the name of our Lord, our God King?
Our God King's name is Treewan, Green Grand Mystic.
Oh la, good, I like you. Here is the holy key to the wisdom place. Holy donation can you make whenever you so wish.
Thank you so much.
I pray you to taste our fertilizer substance. From the burdens of life it helps to free.
But of course.
Raw sap, it is called. It is near the entrance.
Bu ne ya?
Well, we will leave you to your...
Kutsal Sendika sergideki bütün bitkileri ölümcül olanlar da dahil çaldı. Onları Montekton'u öldürmek için kullanmış olabilirler. Kutsal Sendika sergideki ölümcül bitkiler dışındakilerin hepsini çaldı. O kim lan?
That should be the raw sap that the Green Grand Mystic spoke of.
Aa,
It is rather delicious, and of an excellent quality.
My word, Holmes. Their sap is like a form of cocaine.
This door is locked.
yine mi ya? Of.
These instruments are used for smoking opium. This substance is an alkaloid, the same as in the bottle we found in the bushes at Kew Gardens. This cabinet is full of chemicals. They are the same as the ones we found in the laboratory at Kew Gardens. That would be enough to perform the most difficult of chemical experiments. A vast amount of opium. This must be Triwan, the Divine Syndicate's god. Caterpillars. They are raised as food for certain plants. Let's take them. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest.
Peki.
A trop. A tropical. A tropical. A trop. These three plants are identical to the ones shown at the exhibition. I shall take them.
Kimya laboratuvarında alkol ve tırtırlar ayarlayarak ölümcül bitkiler üzerine deney gerçekleştir.
Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment.
Keko'yla da konuşak da.
Osmosis and photosynthesis.
Kafalar güzel tabi değil mi?
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you put on the gas mask.
Şu gibi duruyor ya sanki.
A prickly plant. This is a strange and unusual. A carnivorous plant. This plant seems to have had no reaction from the caterpillars. I find the behavior of predators utterly fascinating. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. No reaction. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary. The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the Colonial Collection Room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
Kutsal sendika bitkileri Montagu'dan daha sonra öldürmek için köy bahçesinde bıraktı. Biri kutsal sendika çalmadan önce ölümcül bitkileri çalmış.
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious? Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait. These Latin names. And I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes. He came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh, my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon. Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house. I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Oh, certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you, miss.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
Bu.
The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
Ulan nereye geldik ya? Bakalım takip edelim şunu da. Gerçi aynı yere gidiyor da.
We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. From here. Before starting the engine, I need to enable the power supply. Before start, the power is on. The engine cannot be started while the engine has started. The ventilation system is working.
Oğlum. Buranın kestirmesi yok muydu ya?
Now we need to see if we can activate the fans from Mr. Hamish's and Albert's space.
Nasıl? Ne diyor ya? Vay babayın kemiği ya. Ulan tek bir çıkışı var buradan. Ne lanet bir yermiş. Bir kilometre dolanıyoruz.
Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window.
Lanet olsun.
Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect. Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out, by activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room.
White'ın yeterli tecrübesi yok. Bayan White'ın üniversiteden edindiği bilgi ölümcül bitkilerin doğru reaksiyonu kanıtlayacak kadar yeterli olmayabilir. Bayan White ölümcül bitkilerin nasıl uyarıldığı ile ilgili biyolojik bilgiye sahipmiş. Danny White öldürdü. Peki şunu seçsek. Bir şey çıkmıyor. Martin Hamish koloni koleksiyon odasındaki ölümcül bitkileri uyarmak için şansa sahipti. Bir biyolog olarak teknik olarak bunu nasıl yapacağını anlayabilirdi. Martin Hamish katil olabilir. Kutsal Sendikanın bitkilerini çalmak için Montague'yu koleksiyon odasına kilitledikten sonra bitkileri çalışma yerinden uyarmak için şansı vardı. Martin Hamish'in tutuklamasını gerçekleştir. Haydi.
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
Gidelim. Bir çay daha alayım. Evet.
Inspector, I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the lads around to arrest him.
Very good. I shall wait to hear from you. Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
Holmes, my God!
Yes, we found him like that.
Our messing around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we knew.
Inspector, could you arrange the body, please? I should like to examine it.
Haydi adam kendini astı ya.
The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
Hayat cehennem oldu. Benim için dayanılmaz oldu. Dan ölmeyi hak etti fakat ellerindeki kanı için kendimi affedemem. Biz hem işler daima başımıza gelen durumlarda kurban olurduk ve ben de kendimi farklı görmüyorum. Bunu telafi etmeliyim ve yapacağım şimdi ve burada. Elveda. Da. A. A. A. A. A. A. A.
Holmes, his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is often a characteristic of...
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case.
Ayak yerde sürtünme izi vardı. Doğru. Doğru. Martin Hamish'in yumru ayağındaki bilek dönmesi sebebiyle koşması mümkün değil. Bu nedenle onu koleksiyon odasında kapısını kilitleyip havalandırmayı açacak kadar vakit olup olmadığını öğrenmeliyiz. Bir suç ortağı mı var? Allah Allah. Martin Hamish'in bedeninde bulunan yeni deliller muhtemel etkisi için Lestrade ile konuş.
Something about this rings very oddly.
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you do. You must recall that Mr. Dunn was locked inside the Colonial Collection Room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person as Mr. Hamish decided to base his plan on the speed of his gait.
You mean to say that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the investigation stops.
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able to rebuild the events as they took place that day.
With a timeline, such as we did in the Jack the Ripper case.
Precisely.
The map at the entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
Let us analyze the facts and statements so that we may recreate the events of that morning.
Bu ne ya? Martin Hamish'e Montek dün 9 çeyrek sulara tohum evine Albert ile buluşmaya gitti. Hamish ve Montek dün arka bahçeye çıktığında 10-12 dakika civarında olmuştu. 10 dakika sonra Montek dün teftişini yeniden başlattı ve kuru tropiklere girdi ve Hamish tohum evine geri döndü. Şimdi 9 çeyrek 9.30 Hamish Martin Hamish. Bayan White saat 10.40'a kadar laboratuvardaydı. Hamish Montagu'nun Albert bütün sabah boyunca tohum evindeydi. Kuru tropik. Dokuz buçuk şura. Bu ne oğlum ya?
Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
Albert karışmadı. Martin Hamish ve Albert suç ortağı değiller. Albert şansa sahip olmasına rağmen 10 dakika koloni koleksiyon odasının kapısını kilitlemek için yetersiz. Çabuk oldu ya. Albert Martin Hamish'in suç ortağı. 10 dakika Albert Montagu'nu izleyip kapıyı kilitlemesi. Şöyle yapalım.
Let us summarize. Montague Dunn was poisoned inside the Colonial Collection Room. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen at 10:10. This means that he has approximately 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room. Given that he was club-footed, it is doubtful. Albert also has 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room, which is quite enough time. Miss White was last seen at 10 o'clock, which means that she had approximately 20 minutes to lock the door.
Aynen öyle.
More than enough time. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
Bayan White'ın 20 dakikası vardı. Montague Dunn'u kilitlemek için yeterliydi. O kapıyı kilitlemiş ve Martin Hamish'i havalandırma sistemi çalıştırması için uyarmış. Martin Hamish ve Bayan White suç ortağı değiller. Bayan White şansa sahip olmasına rağmen 20 dakika oyunu koyuyor. Bence kadın ya. Ben kadını suçluyorum abi. Bakalım ne olacak. Bayan White para için ayrıntılı bir cinayet planlayabilecek kapasiteye sahip tehlikeli bir kadın. Dunn'un oğlu Albert ile flört etti ve daha sonra Martin Hamish'i intihar etmesi için zorladı. Asılmayı hak ediyor. Bayan White zengin beylerle vakit geçirerek kendini onlara teslim eden borç içinde umutsuz bir kadın. Dün onu bir kenara attığında hayatı durdu ve onu umutsuzluk içinde öldürdü. Hamish onu kurtarmayı denedi. Bakalım ne olacak. Sonuç. Olmaz değiştiririz.
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
It is obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces of her implication. After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining: the deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate. She will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me, but she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
All right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was expecting you.
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
You were wrong, Mr. Holmes.
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
I am not blaming you, Miss White. You are a young and brilliant woman, trapped in a dull and hostile world. Life has never been easy, men in particular.
You... It is hopeless.
Indeed. Well, it may be true that I cannot yet change the world, but I can spare your life.
My life. There is nothing left to save. I have lost everything. Do you hear me? Everything! And you were just like all the others. You would abuse and take advantage of a vulnerable woman.
I hardly think so. Now just listen to me.
I've tried so hard, but I have had enough.
Miss White, no!
Ne yaptı o ya?
I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
Tamam, zehir.
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
No, it's too late.
Well done, Watson. She was not faking.
Miss White, you have no right to take your own life.
Dr. Watson? You just saved me. Or worse.
Evet. Sosyetenin kurbanı umutsuz bir kadından onu bir kenara attığında hayata durduğu onu umutsuzluk içinde Martin Hamish'le yardımıyla öldürdü. Hamish tırtılları attıktan hemen sonra koloni koleksiyon adasının kapısını kilitleyen oydu. Böylesine kötü bir kaderi hak etmedi. 2 tane 20 ipucu bulmuşuz. 22 tane. Bakalım sonucumuz doğru abi. Abi doğru. Bütün ipuçlarını bulmuşuz ve suç ortağı olarak Miss White böyle. Kabul. %91 benimle aynı karar vermiş. Aynı yolu çözmüş. 24'ü de aynı inisiyatif seçimlerini yapmış. Oha. Oğlum kaç bölümdü lan bu oyun? Yarım ay yürüyüşü.
Where are you going, Holmes? Have you been invited somewhere?
We have been invited, Watson.
We have. Where to?
To the Baker Street Irregulars' annual dinner. They sent us an invitation. It is on the table.
A dinner? How could those street urchins afford anything like that? I can't understand your interest in them, Holmes. They're dirty. They wouldn't hesitate to steal your wallet.
Watson, you should be excited. It is a secret dinner. Its location changes every year. Read the menu. Sounds mouth-watering.
All right. We, the secret police of Baker Street, invite you, Sherlock Holmes, and Dr. Watson to our annual dinner. Menu, entree, frozen rat-head salad. Is this a joke?
Not at all. Pray continue.
Main course, sow's udder in Danny Nutcracker's way. Sounds disgusting, Holmes. Hedgehog goulash. Street turnips in homemade juice. And it goes on.
I can hear them on the stairs now.
Oh, we can't go there. We can't eat that.
Watson, you'll hurt the feelings of those poor children. We have to go.
Oh, Mr. Holmes.
It is fine, Mrs. Hudson.
Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, Dr. Watson is getting ready. He will be delighted to join us. You don't look well, my young man. Is there something wrong? Don't tell me the dinner is cancelled.
Mr. Holmes, it's my brother Leighton. He's in a prison cell. They say he's killed 2 men. You have to help us, Mr. Holmes, because I know he didn't do it.
Where is he now?
From what I've heard, they took him to the yard, and they gave him a good beating already. You know what they're like. They'll hang him. They won't look any further.
Holmes, we have to help him.
And forget about the dinner? Wiggins, I'll take the case.
You're fantastic, Mr. Holmes. I'll be waiting for you at the crime scene. You'll be there, right? It's on Half Moon Street in Whitechapel.
Very well.
Tamam gelirim. Evet. Bu bölümde tamamlamış olduk. Böylelikle.
Holmes, poor little Wiggins needs our help.
Hello, Toby. All you need now is a shawl and a mock cap, and you could be Mrs. Hudson's younger sister.
Bir sonraki bölüme buradan devam edelim abi. Kanlı ay bilmem neyine giderek. Yarım ay sokağına giderek. Bir sonraki davayı da orada çözelim. Teşekkür ederim hepinize izlediğiniz için. İzleyen varsa. Bir sonraki bölümde tekrardan görüşürüz. Yarın iş var malumunuz. Yani o bölümü de oynamak isterdim ama yarın sabah gene 8'de işe gideceğim. O yüzden yarın devam ederiz. Olmadı öğlen açabilirim. Belki orayı bitirebiliriz öğlen. Öğleden sonra evde olursam. Kendinize iyi bakın. Görüşmek üzere, hoşça kalın.